This morning we're going to be rebuilding the brain mixing valve. We turned the steam off to the hot water heaters about an hour ago to let it cool down. We have followed these pipes and shut the hot water and cold water that's feeding into the mixing valve. We've shut off this pipe coming out of the heat exchanger feeding into the mixing valve, and then this hot water recirculating line. And now we're going to replace the batteries underneath here. We'll get those batteries replaced and we'll be back with you. Here's the batteries. Let me get this screw out. Drop those batteries out. Put the new ones in. Slide it back up, put the two screws on either side. Here are the two kits that you'll want to get. This has all your O-rings and gaskets. This has replacement screws with your Allen wrenches. All new screws just in case some of them are damaged when you take them out. First thing you want to do is remove these two screws on the side so you can swing the brain open. You're going to swing this open and you're going to disconnect these two wires here. They each have different pin numbers, so you can't get these mixed up. Turn the power off first. I didn't do that. And then remove this clip on top, lift it up and out of the way. Next, there's 4 screws, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. We'll take those out and we'll remove this wheel. That's going to be your smallest Allen wrench. And we'll get back to you. Alright. We've removed the wheel. We've removed all the screws on the housing. Drop this housing down. We've released the pressure inside the valve. Now we're going to pull this drain plug. And there's 8 Phillips screws going around. And we'll drop that out. Unplug this motor down here. Move that out of the way. Got a little bit of pressure. We'll loosen that drain plug and let it bleed out. We know we've got the water cooled off, so no danger getting burned there. Alright, now we'll pull our 8 Phillips screws out. There's the mixing valve. We'll get a Scotch-Brite pad and we'll clean all this up, shine that up very gently, make sure there's no scratches or dings on there. We're going to pull the inside of the mixing valve out, and this side is where you put your screw in to push it down. This is threaded on here. This side is not threaded, but it's threaded up inside the valve. That's how you push the valve back up inside the mixing valve, and we'll show you that when we get to that. So we'll screw this up in here, and that's what's going to push the internals back out. These things all chewed up and eat up. That's the reason we'll replace. We'll get a rag and clean all the debris up inside there, We'll clean all this out, clean it all up and put new O-rings in. You see we've got 4 sizes of O-rings. So the smallest O-ring, this one here, goes right there. And from smallest to largest, the smallest will go on top, the largest will go down on the bottom once we get all this cleaned up. So when you put this barrel back up inside the mixing valve, once all these O-rings are installed, and this is back inside the mixing valve, you want to make sure this barrel is seated in here, not like it is now, because this cam will get pushed to that side and you'll have a code for a stuck motor. You want this to get lined up in there. I'm turning this cam with my finger to where that barrel seats inside there and it won't come out. And that way it'll slide up in those O-rings, and once you power it up, it'll be able to move freely.
When I first moved down here, that's all I had.
So we're using a towel to wipe all the debris from the old O-rings, getting a pick to pull out some of the loose pieces, and then we'll get a small square of the Scotch-Brite pad just to finish cleaning everything off of there before we put it back together.
On some of our pumps, we had to do that. And in their spark arresters, you had to do that too.
So these flat gaskets, there's one on one end and one on the opposite end, and we like to offset where they're cut. Don't know that it makes a difference, but
here. So we'll take this one this way. Use here.
The 3 red gaskets go on the inside, and then, like I said, these black gaskets, the biggest one goes on the bottom and the smallest one goes on the top. You can see we've got the flat gasket on this end, the red O-rings in, and then we've got the other flat gasket on the other end. You can see the cut on here, and then we've got it alternated on this other side. Here we've got our 3 gaskets, smallest to largest, installed, and now we're going to put it back up inside the mixing valve. We're going to clean all this debris and stuff from the inside. Clean all that out. Make sure we don't have anything that's loose. Alright, now when we install this, there's notches that are seated on either side, and this can only go in one way because, like I was saying before, this is the side that's threaded that pushes it out. This is the side that's not threaded that's going to pull this back up in. So here's your thread on here. There's no thread over here. This is threaded, this is not, so it goes in this way. It only can go in one way to make it work. Alright, I just learned something. These 8 Phillips head screws are the same thread pattern as the one that pulls it up in there, but they're just a little bit longer. So it's just long enough that you can get it started pulling up in there with the Phillips and then finish it off with the Allen. So we got it started. Now we're going to bottom it out. Get it seated all the way up in there.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so we've got the ram seated down into the motor. We've got our 8 Phillips head screws. We're going to slide that up in there and start tightening it down. Hopefully we can do that with this water coming out. We'll see.
So you get to a certain point, it's going to come out the other side.
Alright, we've got all our 8 Phillips head screws in. Remember to plug our motor in. And I don't know how we would forget it today, but make sure to put our drain plug in. Snug that down a little. You don't have to be too tight, it's got an O-ring. We'll put these 4 screws in and then we can put our magnetic wheel on. We put our 4 screws in for our housing. The magnetic wheel does have a flat spot, so you can only put that in one way to get it fully seated. You'll feel it drop into place and then you can tighten your screw up. Set that on the hinges. Again, these 2 wires, there's different number of pins, so they can only go in one way. You can't get them mixed up. And there's a notch, so you'll know when they're fully seated. So you may have to rotate them a little bit to get them fall up into place. Now before I open the water valves and lock this door into place, I like to turn the power on. Just make sure that we don't get a stuck valve. Hear the motor running and it's modulating, so we're good there. So we'll get this buttoned up, get all our valves open back up, and we'll be back in business. Like I said when I started, we closed the cold water inlet, the hot water outlet, the mixed water, and the recirculating line. So we want to open all 4 of those back up and then turn our brain back on. And we want to make sure, if you've got this valve in your system, you want to make sure that this valve opens automatically. If it does not, you can push this in and turn it manually if you have to open it back up. But it should open up on its own if everything works right. So, good luck.